Hi Warriors, DeCrans here, and so this is the second video, and for painting using the watercolor barn landscape. And so I have my grid drawing here, and what I did was I erased the grid lines. You can kind of still see the lines a little bit, they're light, and that's fine, but you don't want to have like dark lines, so I erased all the darker lines. Let's see right here. So I still got a dark line right here. So, because you'll paint over it, but might be if you have some like light color paint, you'll see the pencil mark behind it. So you don't want to see any of that. So, typically what happens in most paintings is you work from back to front. So the background to the middle ground to the foreground. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to start with the sky, and after the sky, normally we would do the trees then. But being that the sky might still be wet and we're using watercolor, I'll do the sky and then I'll bounce ahead to the barn, and then that will give a chance for the sky to dry, and then I'll go back and I'll do the trees probably in the second video. So the first thing is for painting the sky, we're going to use the wash technique. So for the wash technique, I got some water right here. That's where you put down water first, kind of like how you painted the curves and the sphere in the last project. So I'm putting water down first, because if you take a look out your window, I'm not putting a ton of water, just kind of getting lightly damp. But if you take a look out your window or look outside, or next time you go outside, take a look at the sky, and you'll see that the sky is darker the further it goes up. So the closer you get to the horizon, it gets lighter. So we're going to do like a light blue for the sky. And later on in the semester, I'll kind of talk about how to do like some clouds and sunsets, but we're just going to do a blue sky for this one. Keep it kind of simple. So putting water down first, and what I'm going to have is be darker blue towards the higher in the sky, and as it gets closer to the bottom, it's going to be a really light blue. So I mean, it's still going to be a light blue no matter throughout, but it'll just be a little lighter towards the bottom. So now that I have some water down first, I'm going to go through and I'll grab some blue, and using the blue, kind of mix it right here. It's kind of, and then I'll add a little water to it. Just put my brush in the water, kind of grabbing a little bit more, putting the water on here. Kind of get like a lighter blue for the top of the sky. Now I'm going to start by working up towards the top. And as I work towards the bottom, it's going to get lighter and lighter as it goes. And then instead of adding more blue on my brush, just add a little bit more water to keep it lighter and lighter as it gets towards the bottom. So it's darker towards the top, lighter. And don't worry about going over, I don't know if you could really see that in this, but don't worry about going over your like, you know, having to stay in lines. If you go over the lines where you have your trees drawn, that's just fine. Add some water, get a little lighter. So I'll kind of do that one more time here. We got some blue on the top, and it kind of gets lighter and lighter as it gets towards the horizon, because we put the water on first. So see how it's lighter. So one more time going through. So we got the darker blue towards the top. And it gets lighter and lighter towards the horizon. So that's it for the sky. If you want to draw it, put some clouds, you could go and add some clouds if you want. I'll talk about those later. If you wanted to make it like a sunset, you could add a teeny bit of like yellow and orange in the bottom. But again, I'm gonna need to worry about that right now. I'm just gonna keep this one simple. We'll be talking later in the semester about sunsets and clouds and all that stuff. So as long as you got that, so it's like darker to lighter, darker to lighter, you guys should be good to go. Can I blend this part right here so you don't see that line? All right. So the next part now is I'm going to start on the barn. So I kind of use the flat brush for that part, but I'm using kind of a smaller brush for the barn itself. Now the barn, it's going to start out yellow on one side, and once I get about halfway between the edge of the wall and the window, I'm going to switch to orange, and I get about to the window, and then I'll switch to red. So I'll go from yellow to orange to red, and then I'll kind of work my way down, and it'll kind of be orange and like yellow because the kind of sun's hitting it at an angle, so it's hitting at an angle, so it's light right there. And just throw some colors in there, have a little bit of fun. So let's start out with, I'm grabbing some yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do vertical strokes with my brush. That way I kind of want to go like the same way that the boards would go on the barn itself. So I imagine they're going vertical. I don't know, they might be going a different direction. But just grab some yellow, vertical, and by doing that, now if I miss a spot in here, or it's like darker line, you see some of the lines, and it'll kind of look like the direction the wood grain is on the boards itself. So we're kind of going up and down. And now I'm going to add a little bit of orange. And now while the paint's still wet, if I kind of go over a little bit where the yellow is, it just kind of mixes together and kind of blends its way to being orange. So kind of a dark orange here. And kind of just blend it right into that yellow. And making vertical strokes with my paintbrush. So yellow to orange. Do one more thing with orange over here. So say it just kind of blends right on in. Okay, then I'm going to switch over to red. And the same thing, I'm going to do some vertical strokes kind of going up and down. And then with the red, if I can go right over the orange a little bit and kind of blend the two together. And it kind of blends from orange right into red. Then I'll go about quarter of the way down here with the red. And then I'll wind up switching back to orange here. Get a little more red on here. Okay, now I'm going to switch to orange again. And it's going to go over the red a little bit and just kind of blends, the orange kind of blends right in with the red. Now, I realize it's going to be kind of light underneath this overhang, but don't worry about it. We're going to come back towards the end and we're going to add shadows on top of everything. And then I'll take some yellow and put the yellow towards the bottom. And grab a little more orange to blend in with that yellow. Just forgot to put the orange here. I'm just going to blend it all. And you can do lots of blending while it's still wet. Alright, so now on the main part of the barn here, I'm going to do the same thing where it's going to be red up on top, and switch to orange, and then yellow on the bottom, on the next side of the barn here. So I'm going to start out getting some red up on the very top. Then once I get about halfway down, I'll switch to orange. And then switch to yellow on the bottom. And then while it's still wet, kind of go over the colors a little bit more, just to kind of blend this time. Kind of going up and down, making some horizontal. Just to blend the orange to the yellow. add a little more with the red here. Now there's going to be a shadow over the overhang, but we're going to do the shadows at the very end. So even if it doesn't quite look like the picture quite yet, it will at the very end of this. Alright, so you got yellow, orange, red. And now, I think the next part we're going to do is just go over the roof here in a second. Let's kind of clean this up a little bit. Alright, so for the roof, all you're going to do is be using yellow. And you're going to be kind of going the same stroke that the slope of the roof is. So the slope of the roof is kind of going this way. So you're just going to go the same kind of diagonal stroke that the slope of the roof. See how the roof's going that way? So you want to kind of go use your strokes to kind of go that way. Again, by doing the strokes like that, if you miss a spot or it's like light a spot, it could be glare kind of coming up the roof, but it'll look right because this is the direction that the shingles would be on the roof itself. And then the same thing over the roof on this side. You're going to just use some yellow. But now you're going to do strokes kind of going this direction diagonal. And then you have the roof on the shed, which again we'll do yellow. Kind of going that way. Okay, then the last thing I think we're going to do in this video is we're going to do the cupola. So for the cupola, I'm going to first clean off all my brush, and I'm just going to use purple. So now what it is, it's a really light color purple on the right side, and still light but slightly darker on the left side. So to do that, I'm just going to take some purple, a little bit of the violet right here, and get a really kind of add a little bit of water to it. So it's pretty light. And I'll do the dark side first. So it's a light purple, and then I'm going to go even lighter by adding just more water to it. Kind of patting the extra water off. And I got a light side. Kind of coming down right here. Now I'm going to go back here later and I'll add some shadows on the overhang on the cupola and everything like that. So you kind of got your light purples, but again it's slightly darker on the left, but still pretty light. For the shadow, if you want to do the shadow now, you can. It's still that very light purple, and right on top of the yellow, just kind of go down at a 45-degree angle. Kind of get a little point. So you're using really light purple because purple is the complementary color to yellow. So just a little bit of light purple will make that look nice. Okay, and then I guess this is the very last part here. Now I'm going to take some darker purple, and I'm going to do the overhang right here. So I'll just take the purple or violet right here. And I'll give it a little dark thing. The reason why we're doing the roof right now is then I'm going to let it dry for a little bit, and we'll come back and I'll do the trees next video. So you want to definitely finish the roof, so you don't paint them right next to each other, and then when it's still wet have them blend together. Cool, so I'm going to stop right there. And then next video then, what we're going to do is we'll start with the trees and the background. And we're going to be using what's called the dry brush technique for that. Which I'll show you here in a second, here next video. Fix the shadow a little bit. That's still wet. Touch the spot. All right. So awesome. See you guys in the next video, and we'll start with the trees.